A doomba 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 doomba.
Don't want a four-leaf clover.
Check 1, 2. Here we go. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. And what a night. Let's start with comments before we get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Last night, and I appreciate everybody texting in, you see the number on the bottom of your screen, throughout the debate. And I've got to say, I can't read all of them. We received so many comments, and I can't thank you enough, but I picked out a few. First off, my takeaway, I felt sorry for Biden and proud of President Trump's words and his composure. I think the composure part's very, very interesting. How many times were you watching and waiting for Trump? And now this sounds cliche, though I do want to say I think we started on Frankly Speaking, but that's okay. The rally Trump, where you thought he may go into, well, let's not even call it rally Trump. When he was debating the 16 Republicans back in 2016, I thought maybe he'd go into that mode. I don't think he needed to last night. And I don't say this lightly. I wanted to tell a story. We'll go to the comments, but I want to tell a story that it reminded me of here in just a little bit. Another comment. I think CNN did a good job. I was pleasantly surprised by the questions. I think there were a few times, like we had said on this program, where, especially early on, where they were cutting away from the two shot of both of them, or not really showing Biden because I don't know, I think a lot of people, because of the entertainment value, focus on Trump. I was trying to watch Biden in those moments when he wasn't speaking, and I'm sure you had opportunities to do that as well. And that was maybe the most troubling aspect of it, kind of the staring down at the notes or the staring off into the non-audience. That was unsettling. Next comment from a viewer. Overall, Biden felt robotic and out of touch. President Biden was on point and articulate. I feel he won. Here's another part to that about Trump being on point. Have you noticed age was never really an issue in this race until Biden really started showing his age. And that is when they started focusing on Trump and mentioning his age in every article. That became a point last night that they're both old. This is unfortunate that these are our only options. I would say after watching last night, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this, did you feel that Trump is anywhere near the same age as Biden? Did you feel any of Trump's responses were troubling because of his age? I think Trump's style, I didn't see anything different from 2016, 2020. Yes, he was a little more calm, which I think this debate called for. As a matter of fact, I think we talked about this yesterday. If Trump would have been more forceful, it would have been the scenario that Hur talked about in his report, that people would have felt sorry for Biden, would have had empathy for Biden. So Trump, knowing, and it goes back to that comment we had on yesterday's program by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that Trump may be one of the greatest debaters of all time because he knows when to turn it on and when to turn it off, with the only argument being the first debate of 2020, where he was too aggressive. In this scenario, I thought he was aggressive when he needed to be aggressive. He pulled back, which was the majority of the debate, pulled back when he needed to pull back. We'll continue with comments from viewers. Sorry, I keep getting on side notes. Trump is actually being smart and not answering some of the questions after asking and getting the corrected statements in. And then they have to do a follow-up question, and he is allowed to answer the question that they asked. So he's actually playing them as best as they are trying to play him. I've got to agree. I was really impressed. So when you see, and it's not as prevalent, because really, I thought there would be more about Trump in the focus after the fact. The focus right now really is, does Biden need to be replaced? And I'm a little surprised by that. Listen, I was wrong about the fact that I never thought they would debate. So I'm more than happy to admit my faults. And I did not think, no matter how bad Biden's performance was, that the media would turn on him like this. And boy, are they. And we've got you can see my stacks of paper here. We've got plenty to talk about in that realm. Next comment. So in my opinion, I think I was sort of right about the potential debate setup, but I was wrong who the intended target was. They used the moment to throw Joe under the bus, and now we wait. That's an interesting point too. Was this their opportunity to say, okay, now we can actually go full force looking for another candidate? And also, how bad would you feel if you're Kamala Harris? Her name is never even said, well, she could take the place. It's always, who else can we find other than Harris? Not to pick on Harris. But what I wanted to mention, I one time, and this is what it reminds me of, and I just want to say this very quickly, but I one time saw a rock and roll legend, Chuck Berry, in concert. This was maybe 10 years ago. And everybody was excited to say that they saw this legend and see him do some of his hits. And without getting into too much detail, after the show, you left feeling almost, you left feeling bad. And you thought, how could his family do this to him just for a paycheck? It was just so wrong. That's what it felt like right from the jump yesterday when Biden got up there. Because, again, we all assumed that he would do the quote-unquote State of the Union, have that bolt of energy and come back when he needed to. And boy, that did not happen. Right from the very beginning, it was a train wreck. And what we're going to do when we come back from break is go through the takeaways. As you know, I've done this on the program numerous times. CNN, who hosted the debate, has their takeaways, 5 or 6 different things that they thought were the most important points. Then we'll go to Fox and see what they thought. And then we'll get into the scores of comments from the talking heads. I didn't know there were so many political pundits. There are quite a few. Actually, the New York Post this morning says it's the end of the Biden presidency. And Lindsey Graham, I think, has a very, very good point on this, which is don't do another debate. Not because Trump won this one, not because it's politically expedient for a certain party, but because the signal this sends to our adversaries, Iran, China, Russia, watching that last night and seeing that is, and I don't say this lightly, this is very scary, that is the leader of the free world on the debate stage last night. But again, going back, and I know I'm going to be jumping around a lot, I do find the fact that the media is trying to focus on Trump's age and saying that it's a shame that we have 2 candidates of this age. I did not see an aged man in Trump last night. I did not see someone that I was concerned about his physical or mental health, or the fact that he is, I think, 2 years younger, 3 years younger than Biden, was not a concern. Because, yes, he gave answers that are Trump answers, that sometimes everyone agrees, or that was the best, or we did this the best, or it's the biggest. You know how Trump, this is no different than 2016. We saw nothing different. I didn't see any slower steps. I saw a slower personality, which I think was important last night. I think that was strategic. But you didn't see a person that concerned you because of his age. But that's what originally the talking heads had to say while they tried to craft their message. But at some point, they had to admit that this was disastrous for Biden. Also, how many people did you say last night or did you see last night, that said, I've had numerous Democrats blowing up my phone about their concerns. I mean, I don't know who these Democrats are, but it sounds like these Democrats are texting all night to people in the media about their concerns. I heard that so frequently, but we're just getting started. We already have comments coming in. Thank you for joining us. I know it was a late night. We can all agree on that. I would ask you a few questions. Number one, what you thought of the overall performance by either candidate. What did you think about CNN? I did not have high hopes, so the bar was set low, to use a phrase that we've been saying a lot. I would say, yeah, there were some things I could take issue with, but overall, I did not think I think the production value had some very questionable parts to it. But I would say question-wise, not bad. I would also say that even though, since we're going to use the phrase throughout the morning, the bar was set so low for Biden, he did not exceed that bar. The bar should have been, I guess, set even lower. But that's how we start the program. But most importantly, I want to hear from you. So we're just getting warmed up. We're all a little tired this morning. We're all happy that we got to witness that history last night. That's what they kept saying. First time two presidents debated for the presidency. This early on was another historic part of the debate. So please weigh in on what you thought of last night's debate. And we are just getting started. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Was your preemie baby fed a cow's milk baby formula such as Similac or Enfamil? If so, your child may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Evidence shows that cow's milk formulas increase the risk of NEC in premature babies, causing severe harm and even death. If your child was born premature and suffers from NEC, intestinal perforations, sepsis, cerebral palsy, or died as a result, you may have the right to sue for significant financial compensation. Call now for a free case review.
Bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need. It's never been easier or more affordable than right now to get the bathroom of your dreams. We have the best monthly programs in the industry with payments as low as $99 per month or no payments, no interest for 18 months with approved credit. The hardest part of your new bathroom is gutting and building the tub and shower. If your bathing area is old, there could be damage behind the walls and possible mold and mildew, which can be a serious safety issue. At BCI, we don't cover a problem, we fix it. Call now to get a never clean glass treated door with the no-track system at half off for the first 50 callers. Factory trained, certified installers made in the USA and discounts for seniors and military. Call 800-704-1798. That's 800-704-1798.
So many comments coming in. Look at that beautiful view of Market Street this morning. The day after the debate morning. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. Thank you for joining us. So many comments. Here we go. Before the first 20 minutes, both were off-putting and spoke a bit monotone. After the first 20 minutes, Trump developed his pace and leaned towards campaign mode after that, while Biden stayed the same. Yeah, you could tell Biden was trying to think of the certain talking points that his people had practiced over and over with him. Also, were you surprised that the threat to democracy didn't come up more? There were numerous times where they kind of threw him a softball to knock it out of the park on the democracy issue, and he went back to Medicaid. Something about that Medicaid, because you remember at the very beginning when he had that very disastrous statement where at the end he said, we beat Medicaid, and it just went. Also, I want to ask, what did you think of the time in cutting the mics? It didn't turn out as awkward as I thought it would, but I did find it very unsettling when something would come up to Biden. You could tell he had kind of lost his train of thought or didn't really want to go on with that topic or whatever, and they would go, okay, Mr. President, you have 48 more seconds. So then they change it to, Mr. President, you have 60 seconds, so I'll ask you this. That did happen, in full disclosure, of course, to Trump once or twice, but that was an interesting part of that debate. Next comment from a viewer. I'm so glad Trump showed respect for the office like I had hoped, and also kept his New York bully inside. Yeah, I thought it was a very good move to not take the bait. The bait was there, and for him to step back on times and just looks, that was another thing, look straight at the camera. Not looking, because when Biden was looking down, when Biden was looking off into the non-audience, let's just say not a good look. Next comment from a viewer. Hey, point one, point two. Yeah, that was a weird part with Biden as well. I will pause. Never mind. You're done, Biden. Yeah, a lot of people, to this viewer's point, he continued that it's time to drop out. He did lie about the border patrol endorsing him. I don't know if it was a lie. I don't know what that was. That was a really awkward point. Another comment, CNN moderators were fair. I think so as well. I did not expect that. And a lot of people mentioning this, that Trump saying that he won the 2 club championships, he's still in great shape and a great golfer. What I liked about that exchange was that, and I'm paraphrasing, and I was trying to look it up during break, exactly what he said, but saying to Biden, hey, let's not act like kids. Let's be adults. Taking that high road of, I'm not going to attack, and I'm going to basically blame you for playing kids games, that kind of back and forth. I thought that was really interesting as well. So let's look at the takeaways from CNN. CNN, of course, who held the debate, and we're not going to go into too much of the substance. But Biden was hoarse and displaying little vocal range, was often unable to express his differences with Trump with clarity. At one point, after Biden had trailed off as he defended his record on border security, Trump said, and I quote, I really don't know what he said at the end of the sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Trump, meanwhile, at times, repeated his frequent election denialism. Well, that was, as predicted on this program, was going to be a major part of that debate. When they kept bringing up January 6th and will you accept the results of this election. Do you recall, though, this came up in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. That was something they kept pushing in 2016, and he gave essentially the same answer as he did last night. But who was it at the end of the day when the smoke cleared? Who was it that was denying the results of the election? It was Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton still does, just if you recall. But anyway, Biden trying to goad Trump into overreacting was interesting when he said, you're a whiner and you lost the first time. And he brought up the whiner thing a couple of times. But I haven't even started on the takeaways. My problem. Or my apologies, excuse me. Biden's age problem just got a lot worse. That's takeaway number 1 from CNN. The most important job for Biden was to put to rest voters' concerns about his biggest vulnerability, his age, and turn the election into a referendum on Trump. He failed to do so. Biden was hoarse and at times unintelligible. Words often ran together. He stumbled, particularly when he tried to cite statistics and legislation. Also, I would say sometimes, he could maybe have the pacing and the cadence, but if you really listen to what he said, the sentence itself was nonsensical. The next takeaway from CNN, Trump pulls some of his punches on Biden. For a candidate who attacks Biden on his age, Trump was fairly restrained, and I think that was a great move. About 20 minutes into the debate, Trump followed a Biden remark with a quick snipe, saying, "I really don't know what he said at the end of the sentence. I don't think he does either." It was the exception that proved the rule, and history suggests it was kind of a self or campaign-imposed rule last night for Trump to not be seen as taunting or mocking. Yeah, and I think that was a brilliant move because, again, going back to the Her report, if he would have been too aggressive, it would have created that empathy and that sadness for Biden, which I think the sadness was already there, but it wasn't exasperated by Trump. It wasn't even really focused on at all by Trump. It was just the optics of watching that right from the very beginning. I thought, well, the opening statement or those opening back and forth, he's just getting his sea legs, meaning Biden, just getting his sea legs, but he'll turn around. There was moments where it was fine, but those moments out of an hour and a half were few and far between. I would say maybe total, I don't know, 5% of his speaking time was where you could actually say, oh, that looks like the Biden of old. Anyway, and I would like to ask you, when you were watching the split screen, side-by-side screen, were you watching Trump or were you watching Biden? Because most people, I think, gravitate towards watching Trump because of entertainment value. But Biden is where I focused last night, and that I think, when it comes to the picture of someone, was maybe the most unsettling. Next up on the takeaways from CNN, questions over Biden's goal. Beside Biden's physical shortcomings, a voice that failed him, a diminished appearance, and a split-screen face that was widely shared online, it wasn't readily clear after 90 minutes what objectives he entered the evening hoping to achieve. Unlike in their first meeting 4 years ago when Biden put Trump's record under the microscope and offered a more hopeful vision for the country, his message Thursday was muddled, and not just by his struggles finishing a thought. Next up on the takeaways, again from CNN, Biden's one-liner offense. Throughout the debate, Biden's offensive strategy was to again and again deploy one-liners to ding Trump. I think, and this is not said in any kind of way of jest, or I don't say this lightly. I think the one-liners were done just because it was so much easier on Biden. Because when he had to go on for length is when he struggled the most. Remembering statistics, using, the 0.1, 0.2 and the billion, which is kind of ironic. Again, not said in jest. How many times he was screwing up millions and billions and trillions. Maybe that's tells you a little bit about Washington's mindset more than about Biden's mental health. But yeah, so he said, I've never heard so much malarkey in my life. Has that grown old? If you're a Biden supporter, if you're a Trump supporter, it doesn't matter. Has the malarkey, the Scranton Joe attitude grown old? The come on, man? I think that was kind of a fallback as well when he was struggling. So yeah, I just think the one-liners were out of necessity. The stark differences in addressing January 6th, put simply, Biden was eager to address it, heads on. I thought that was an interesting move by Trump, too. What did you think of that when they first brought up January 6th? Whoever got in his ear, I thought that was a great first response. There ended up being other comments about January 6th, but when he said, well, let me tell you about January 6th. January 6th, the economy, the boom, 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 showing the difference that 4 years made under Biden. I thought that was a really interesting spin on it, and not one I expected. Trump makes news with abortion pill stance. A vibes fight about Israel and Gaza. There's no doubt that Trump would handle the war in Gaza much differently than Biden, but how, they ask. And Trump ducks on deportations. Trump's take on foreign policy, blame Joe. Okay, all right, yeah. The first time that's been done in a debate. Trump makes a bid for black and Latino voters. I thought that was a very powerful part of the debate as well. So those are the main takeaways according to CNN. When we come back, we'll talk about the main takeaways that Fox News focused on, and we have so many comments coming in. Please keep them coming in. We'll read as many as we possibly can. I want to hear your take on it. I know it was a late night, and I'm so glad that you woke up early to join us this morning on Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. We'll be right back.
New vehicles are in-house and on display, with more on the way. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, visit Elm Chevrolet. Search Elm Chevrolet's entire new vehicle inventory at elmchevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world.
Hey, you're sober? You drive.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Rated the hearing aids of 2023 by Forbes, the Audion Atom 2 series offers superior sound quality and functionality for a fraction of the price. For just $189 a pair, the Atom 2 features 4 different hearing modes for all types of hearing loss. It packs crystal clear sound, a nearly invisible design, and is even rechargeable.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids. They're so comfortable, I forget I'm wearing them. And the sound is amazing.
The Atom Pro 2 is our smallest hearing aid yet, featuring advanced background noise cancellation, and is the world's first hearing aid with built-in UV cleaning that kills 99% of bacteria.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed without seeing a doctor or having a hearing test.
Join over 500,000 happy customers today and get the hearing you deserve.
Call 1-800-434-9816 or go to audionhearing.com to get your pair of Audion hearing aids starting at just $189.
In a game of few words, Urkel, glasses, nerd. It pays to know your nerds. If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show, 25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5:30 on Big Fox.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app.
For the touchdown!
Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want.
To the end zone!
And of course, stream your teams live. The best part is free with your pay TV subscription.
Touchdown!
And we are back with Frankly Speaking. Thank you so much for joining us this morning as we broadcast live from the Hesselson's studio here on Market Street. Let's get back to viewers' comments. First up, I think the two of them playing golf would get better ratings than their debate. I guess I would definitely watch that. That was a kind of a weird part. But I do like how Trump switched it around and said, let's not be childish here, Joe. Taking the high road. I thought that was a pretty cool move from someone who notoriously does not do that. Next up, from a different viewer, of course, I was impressed with Trump's performance and actually thought CNN did a pretty good job. Not near as attacking on Trump as thought it might be. I believe Biden's handlers wanted this debate to put another nail in Biden's coffin so they can replace him. Here's the thing. You're at Camp David for, a week and a half. They're going through this. They're practicing this. When did they realize that they should have backed out? And to this viewer's point, did they realize, well, maybe now this gives us an opportunity. If he does this poorly, it gives us an opportunity to replace him? And that ties into this point that Ken makes, viewer Ken from Horseheads. I think the Dems have been divided on how to proceed. One side has wanted to keep Biden as the presidential puppet and continue to push the liberal agenda. The other side has wanted to dump Biden, blame him for the mess he created as president, and install another puppet to continue the liberal agenda. While I think it's possible that it could be Gavin, meaning Gavin Newsom, I don't think he is controllable as Michelle Obama would be. With Barack seemingly one of the Democrats behind the scenes controlling Biden, he would love to have Michelle do his bidding. This would give him a bigger edge on other handlers. The debate was a test bed for which way the Democrats need to go, and Biden's last chance to prove he was up to the job, which he failed to do. It seems clear that they will be making a change at the convention. Unfortunately, I don't think the candidate change will be beneficial to conservatives due to the short amount of time to vet one of the above-mentioned candidates and the Dems' expertise in skirting election laws. Thanks, Ken. I think, and David Axelrod, not to suggest in any way, shape, or form you are making the same point as David Axelrod, not at all. But David Axelrod made the point that if Biden is replaced, it is hurtful, it'll harm Republicans, it'll be your worst nightmare kind of scenario. I think, especially Michelle Obama, we've talked about this in the past, we talked about it at length with former Congressman Joe Semplinsky. If it's Michelle Obama, she has no record to run on. So that makes it very difficult. That was a very, very much a positive for Trump. He had no record to run on back in 2016. So that makes it more difficult in the political realm to attack. I don't know. I've heard it said over and over that Michelle Obama doesn't like politics. It'll never be Michelle Obama. I don't know. I do think that is a real threat to Trump. I don't think Gavin Newsom is quite as much of a threat, but the media has done a very good job about bringing up the age now that it's been an issue with Biden to try to attack Trump. So they'll start to say, well, look, we've got young blood here. Let's get rid of old Trump. I don't know. I would tend to agree with you, Ken, that I don't think it helps the case. Not enough time to vet, not enough talking points yet. Gavin Newsom, just look at California. That should be a talking point enough. But it may be a tough sell throughout the country. But anyway, next comment from a different viewer. Surprisingly, CNN did a good job. That seems to be the trend this morning. As far as Mr. Biden continuing this disastrous run for another 4 years, I think it's totally up to Jill. She seems to want that lifestyle so much, she'll put that frail old man out there. That goes back to my point when I saw that concert, that at some point you get angry at the family who should know better. And Dr. Jill helping him off the stage last night, someone had tweeted out that shows you all you need to know about last night. Telling Joe, I think it was at the Waffle House after, you did great. You hit the points. Yeah, there's something about, people on this program, viewers talk so often about the puppets controlling Biden behind the scenes. She may be a lot more powerful than we all realize, not just the loving wife that wants to see the best for her husband. There may be more there. All right, the 5 takeaways from Fox. Number 1, I'm not going to quote it exactly in case kids are getting ready for school this morning, but it was about Stormy Daniels. That was something I don't think many of us would have expected from a presidential debate. I say that, but you look at some of the things that had come up or what Trump had said in the past. So, number 2, Trump slams Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal. I thought that was very effective too. He hit that quite a few times. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment. He should have fired those generals like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers and 38 soldiers were obliterated. 3, Biden denies wrongdoing, calling it outrageous. Yeah, you could tell when they were practicing with Joe that they wanted that State of the Union anger, which didn't really, I know the media tells you it was a great performance of the State of the Union, but it was really just a lot of anger and a lot of yelling. That's what they wanted from Biden. So he had that pointing the finger and that man is a criminal. That man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We've got a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong. It fell flat. Number 4, Biden says he is not for a late-term abortion, period. 5, Trump claims Biden has become like a Palestinian. Biden responded, I've never heard so much foolishness. Yeah, the one-liners, again, out of necessity, I believe, from Biden, fell flat, at least to me. But again, this is why I love this program, because we've received so many comments with different opinions. Let me ask the question, the simple question that so many people are asking this morning in the legacy media and in through all circles of media. Do you think this signals the end of the Biden re-election campaign? Do you think, now I will go into the mindset of some Democrat friends of mine that I have talked to. I'm not going to sound like all these talking heads last night that said my phone was going off the hook with Democrats texting me. No, this is from quite a while ago, saying that one of Biden's biggest legacies will be that he defeated, in Democrats' mind, that he defeated Donald Trump in 2020. If he continues this campaign and loses, he has lost that point in his legacy, and it becomes a how do I want to word this without sounding disrespectful, because I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it becomes a Ruth Bader Ginsburg scenario where she's a hero, she's a pop culture icon. There's the posters and the magnets and all those little souvenirs. She's a hero. Then when she passes away and Trump gets to replace her with a conservative justice, then there became the talks of what happened, why did she stay so long, why did she do this to us, and it tarnished her legacy. That's what we could see with, and again, this is talking as a Democrat might talk or think, that this could really end up hurting what legacy Biden has. So again, do you think this signals the end of the Biden re-election? We're going to go through some talking points from so many different groups. Also, I'd ask, do you agree with Lindsey Graham that there should not be another debate, not for political reasons, but for the fact of world leaders saw what our leader, what our president looked like last night? And that was a clear signal that we are weakened, that we are vulnerable in some way. Do you agree with that statement? And again, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but all those questions and anything you'd like to bring up, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, if you were a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Consistent Corning. It's time for a new mattress. Shop and compare iComfort. Shop and compare Serta Perfect Sleeper. Shop and compare Beauty Rest. Shop and compare King Coil. Consistent Sleep in Corning. You won't find a better deal, guaranteed.
You rip and tear your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-898-1002. That's 1-800-898-1002 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-898-1002. Order now.
Saturday's baseball night in America on Fox. Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers battle the Giants. Or Corey Seager and the Rangers take on the Orioles. Saturday at 7 Eastern on Fox.
The Big Fox website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. You're watching Frankly Speaking, the Morning after the great debate. Comment from a viewer. Mainstream media is kicking the tires so much on Biden bowing out. Does anyone remember Biden when he said he wouldn't run and then he did? Another comment. In my opinion, things are going to change on a dime. Probably they will choose Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom seems the most prepared. Now, yesterday, after he was in the spin room, which is the Biden spin room, the way I understand it, cleared out very, very quickly. Biden's surrogates left the CNN spin room, quote, abandoned, while Trump team answered all questions. But Gavin Newsom saying, we've all had one of those nights. And the talking about this panic over Biden was unhelpful to democracy. Newsom said, I feel like on the signature issue that Democrats have, which is abortion, the president's response was garbled and undirected at best. Do you feel like he did what he needs to do on the issue? I'm sorry, that's what Newsom was asked. I worded that incorrectly. I think it's significantly insignificant because the American people have made up their minds. They don't support the policies of Donald Trump. Blah, blah, blah. You go through the whole talking points. And they asked him at one point, he said, I would never turn my back on Biden. So I think Gavin Newsom is the best prepared to step right in because he has been essentially running a shadow presidential campaign. So perhaps you are right with, as this viewer says, maybe Michelle as his running mate VP or the other way around. Again, I don't mean to keep bringing this up, but if you're Kamala Harris, at one point do you start to really take offense over this? Her name is not even in the mix. She's been vice president 3.5 years. She technically ran for president. She never made it to the primary vote. But at what point do you say, hey, what am I, chopped liver over here? Poor Kamala. Did you feel that Joe Biden had maybe his deplorables moment last night when he was asked about, and I thought, again, to CNN's credit, Jake Tapper specifically, when he said the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy? Is that what you mean? And Biden responded, yes. So if you are supporting Trump, you are voting against democracy. Biden continued, the more they know about what he's done, yes. Then he suggested that this lawfare that brought so many people over to Trump, the weaponization of the judicial system, there was going to be more of it. And that's one thing let me finish. Biden said there's a lot more coming. Trump's got a lot of cases down the road coming down. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. Yes, I wish more would have been brought up by Trump about the weaponization of the judicial system. I thought he did a good job with it. I think that's just a powerful message. But again, I thought he did a fine job with it. It just, I thought there was a few times where, I don't know, you just want him to go even further. And I'm glad Hunter came up in the kind of the perfect amount. It got under Biden's skin. You could tell it. Tell that, but it wasn't over the top. I didn't think, even though they tried to goad him into it, I don't think that Trump brought up the election results too much. I don't think that became a major focus. I think his response, at least initially to January 6th, was very, what's the word I want to, what I want to say is, it hit home where it's, well, no, let's look at January 6th. The economy was better. Blah, blah. I thought that was very good as well. But they kept trying to get him into saying he'd accept the election results. You had to expect that. Donald Trump ripped Joe Biden's debate mumbles. We know that. Really don't know what he said. I thought that was the right amount as well. That Trump saying that one line, I was glad that he did not go all in on it. I know I keep saying it this morning. I just didn't want it to be a her scenario where they said that people would start to feel like they were attacking their grandfather. I will say it was kind of laughable. This came up really early on in the discussions that it was a bad performance by Biden. Okay. So after the debate, one of his surrogates, Representative Robert Garcia, blamed the performance on a cold Biden had. That was pretty, that was an interesting one. I mean, look, I think it's already been reported that the president had a cold. I mean, I think I'd rather have a president at night that have a minor cold than actually having someone that lies all night. That's a surrogate I might take off the the list to call in the future, because that actually came off more pathetic. Also, we got so many comments coming in, but Jen Psaki, former press secretary, now MSNBC host, wants to see a lot more of Harris right now. So she is maybe thinking that there's a potential for Kamala Harris. They should have her out on every morning show tomorrow, early on. Not because it was warranted. She was not confident in her own ability to do an interview like she just did, meaning the interview that she gave with, I can't remember who it was, but we'll talk about that interview in a moment. The chatter is very distracting, and it's going to be very consuming for this campaign, meaning Biden's performance. Should he be replaced? They're going to be answering that question instead of breaking through on attacking Trump. Again, kind of a self-inflicted wound, of course. Biden calling for this debate early on. I heard a good point yesterday, and I think it was Karl Rove who made it. Karl Rove saying the problem with this being so early, they may see this as a positive from the Biden camp, but if he, and this is before the debate, if he has a bad performance, or either candidate, if they had a bad performance, that's a long time to go to the next debate, which I think is September 10th. There's a lot of time to have to talk about this, to try to hope it fades away. So not necessarily a positive for whoever performed poorly. And we saw who it is being suggested performed poorly. Do you think that Biden will be replaced? If so, who will replace him? It's fine to say you don't think he'll be replaced. I would tend to think it would be a long shot to have him replaced. That's what my thoughts were before last night. I'm still not sure he'll be replaced, but boy, if there was ever a call for it. And I'm not saying it lightly. At one point, someone had texted me, so now I sound like all the other pundits on TV, but someone had texted me and I said, I put policy completely aside. This is just uncomfortable to watch Biden. So your thoughts when we come back. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I'm Marianne Kurt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
You have to earn the right to be in this show. You got to earn it. I know pressure. I know how to handle it. How to get into the fight, try to win.
We're going to give it every single ounce that we have.
It's coming down just to the wire. We're all feeling it.
Hold on, it's going to fly.
Gone like a shot.
You got to bring it all.
This ain't just a racetrack.
The NHRA Summit Nationals, Sunday at 5 Eastern on Fox.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. Boy, this hour's going quick. Thank you for all the comments coming in. Really appreciate it. Of course, we're talking about the debate. First comment. If it ends up being Gavin, the Democrats will offer Kamala backing to run for governor in California in 2026. That's a very good point. But many people thought they were going to pull her out at one point and have her run for Senate. I don't know. A lot of questions there. I don't know. I don't know the answer. Have you noticed, though, that the common trend is that, in fairness, that Biden looked bad last night, but that Trump lied. So when Biden lies, the statistics he gave, why is it never a lie? It's always, well, that's Biden and his gaffes and his mistakes. It's just interesting how they get to decide in the mainstream media what is a lie and what is not. Joy Reid, who said yesterday that it's offensive that the president of the United States even has to stand on the stage with a convicted felon. Joy Reid said last night the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic. People are very concerned about President Biden seeming extremely feeble, seeming extremely weak. My phone never really stopped buzzing throughout. Okay, everybody wants you to know that they have friends that text them, or they have. It was so weird. It's something I noticed throughout the night. About 5 or 6 people saying my phone was going crazy. Okay, neat. Anyway, the universal reaction was approaching panic. The president is an avatar. The president is an avatar for the American people. That avatar, to them, looks broken. That's Joy Reid. If you've ever thought about watching MSNBC, just remember that's Joy Reid. Aaron Burnett, CNN anchor, of course, calls Biden painful to watch. For me, my panel, and people around the country, that was a painful moment to watch. That was specifically towards the very beginning where he was talking about we beat Medicare. It was early on in the debate, she added, saying, it's not over, underscoring how quickly Biden's night unraveled. That is a good point, right from the jump, as we mentioned earlier on in the program. And I will say it was painful to watch. Put politics aside, it was not something you feel comfortable watching when it's all said and done. Watching Biden's performance, his look, Trump kept saying at rallies how quickly Biden had diminished, but people in the media said, no, he didn't. Look at the State of the Union. Look at all these examples. But remember, he hasn't really been in the public eye. Remember, also, the White House called it a cheap fake to suggest that he was kind of meandering and these type of things. Again, last night proved that the cheap fake claim was not accurate. David Axelrod, former Obama advisor, said, look, I can't argue with either of them about how Democrat leaders are reacting, meaning that Democrats are voicing deep concerns about his performance, kind of a shock. He seemed a little disoriented. He did get stronger as the debate went on, but by the time I think that panic had already set in. Axelrod also contended that Biden's main goal of the night was to appear energetic and engaged, and added that Biden did score a bunch of points on issues like abortion. It's one night that helped confirm people's fears. It's a one-night event everybody was watching. I think Biden actually won on substance. I don't think Trump did well. I mean, when you're talking about, that was Trump. I mean, I don't understand. I know they're saying didn't do well, or they're saying that he lied, whatever. It wasn't lies. It was Trump's style. It was no different than 2016, no different than 2020. So it was such a clear contrast between the two. But I also say, with Biden starting off so bad, that's tough too, because, okay, I'll say towards the end he got a little better on certain issues. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. But the damage has been done. How many people were just watching that first half an hour, maybe till the first break? Very fascinating. We're going to keep those comments coming in, and I'll read them as many as I can. We've got to take a short break. Wow, this show's going fast. I know we're all a little sleepy this morning. Stayed up late watching the debate. What'd you think? Stay with us.
Attention, if you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Make this the summer sales event until the end of June, only at Blaze Alexander, Chrysler Dodge Jeep, and Ram Truck of Mansfield. Celebrate with up to $15,000 off MSRP on a new Jeep Gladiator. Or finance a new Jeep Grand Cherokee at 3.9% interest for 36 months. The summer savings don't stop there. We're also offering 20% over KBB on your trade-in until June 30th. Shop 24/7 at BlazeAlexanderCDJR.com or stop at shop to save some green off Route 15 in Mansfield, where we're taking the deals the other guys won't.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my number one goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking as we wrap up our number one. And we're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I have not even mentioned this, but coming up in the next hour, our good friend Joe Barlow will be joining us. We're going to talk about the Crystal Chords and hear an amazing new song. If you recall, of course, the Crystal Chords and others involved in the Salvation Army telethon back around Christmas. So I thought, what a great way to change up pace for a moment from talking about debates to hearing just a pleasant song and relaxing for a moment as we take in everything that we witnessed last night from a viewer. Uncomfortable to watch is a good way to put it. That's my initial thought right as Biden came on stage and struggled right from the beginning. CNN's John King said this was a game-changing debate. There is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic. Sorry, my voice is going too. I have a cold. No. It started minutes into the debate, and it continues right now. It involves party strategists. It involved elected officials. It involves fundraisers. And they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was abysmal, which they think will hurt other people down the party ticket. And they're having conversations about what they should do about it. Yeah, there's a lot thinking about the rest of the ticket. Meaning down the line. Again, I keep mentioning this, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Lindsey Graham said, I worry that we're in a dangerous spot in the world after this debate. We don't need any more debates. This should be it. I don't want the world to see this again. I don't want to see this again. He asserted that Biden's performance, that there's no way that he is capable of being president. It's not about his misspeaking. It's about his capability to be commander-in-chief at a time of great peril. I worry about what Iran's thinking. Iran, China, Russia, yes. Again, none of this is said lightly. It was troubling. Michael Goodwin said, it's a good thing for Joe Biden that the debate wasn't held in Harlem's famed Apollo Theater. The audience would have given him the hook and booted him off the stage. That's how bad he was. Our president is not fit to serve. Forget concerns about how old and infirm he would be after a second term. He's a basket case now. Biden took the debate stage looking like he had escaped from a wax museum and spent much of his time chewing his words before trailing off. Several times he confused millions with billions and ended one incoherent sentence by saying we finally beat Medicare. The leader of the free world doesn't look well enough to have a driver's license or dress himself. A confused old man. For his part, Trump was solid and hit on all the main areas where Biden had failed. Inflation, the border, the economy. In a bid to broaden his appeal, he talked about helping black and Latino citizens and several times focused on how the millions of illegal migrants pose economic threats to the poorest Americans. The former president seemed well prepared and I believe minimized the danger the abortion issue presents by stressing that each state gets to decide and that whatever limits are imposed, there must be exceptions for the health of the mother. Anyway, he said, ordinary scorekeeping does an injustice to what Americans witnessed. It's an unprecedented event. A sitting president of the United States looks like a confused old man knocking on death's door. I say that not out of cruelty or with joy. It is simply a matter of fact that the condition of our president should alarm all of us. Biden's undeniable decline must also be scaring our allies, who have already worried America's diminished superpower on a turbulent global stage. Whatever concerns they had before last night were certainly magnified by the appearance of a frail, shrunken president. Indeed, 10 minutes into the debate, an ardent Democrat texted me, everybody's texting each other last night, that the election was over and fumed that Dems should have stopped Biden from running. Again, as I mentioned, oh my gosh, we're out of time. As I mentioned, it's very much a Ruth Bader Ginsburg scenario. He cannot continue, Michael Goodwin said. And I can't go through any more of this speech because we are out of time for the first hour. Can you believe it? Thank you for all the comments. Hour number 1, keep those comments coming in hour number 2, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Wow. You found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
This is an important message for firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was diagnosed with any of those cancers, call now for a free case review.
My air practice is focused and centered around St. James Hospital in Hornell. We see a lot of joint pain from hips, shoulders, and knees, whether you're a weekend warrior or even a 80 to 90-year-old who just wants to stay active and keep walking a couple blocks in their neighborhood. I want to spend the time to connect, to really hear you and understand why you've come to visit me to seek treatment. It drives me to be the best physician I can be so that you can go back and do the things that you want to do in life.
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. Thank you so much for joining us as we talk about. Of course, we're talking about Thank you for all the waves that are coming in. Here's a comment from a viewer. I like when Biden said he beat Medicare. And Trump's reply was, yeah, you beat it to the death, and giving it away to the illegals, putting them up in 5-star hotels while the vets are sleeping on the street. Thank you. Now, before we went to break, I had mentioned what Michael Goodwin said, and I didn't mention the point that I wanted to bring up. And this is how he finished it. Nothing anyone can say or do will erase the ghost-like image the president presented in Atlanta. The only question now is how Democrats are going to find a way to usher him off the stage and give the nomination to someone else. That's their problem. The problem for the rest of us is that Biden will likely remain as president until January. Now that every despot in the world has seen how serious his condition is, what happens between now and then? And the Post editorial board says we just witnessed the end of Joe Biden's presidency. Would you agree with that? Where do you see the Democratic National Convention? Few short months, where do you see that headed? There are too many mainstream media outlets. There are too many talking heads that are calling for at least consideration for a new candidate. I had read a piece this morning and I thought it was a good point. A lot of it depends on what, in the next 48 hours, 72 hours, what is said by a Barack Obama or a Nancy Pelosi or some of the bigger names in the Democrat Party. But we'll continue. Millions just witnessed the end of a presidency live on television. Joe Biden's performance during the debate was embarrassing. Whenever CNN put him up on the split screen, he had a 1,000-yard stare. Yeah, I tried to focus on that because that was unsettling. And that's why I think there was numerous times where I've said I think the questions were fair enough. There was a couple things you could take issue with the questions and the timing scenario. That's fine. The production value, not as much, because I thought that was when they tried to cut away from Biden as much as they could. He didn't look old, they said at the New York Post, meaning Biden. He looked ancient. He looked empty. But at least he wasn't speaking. Because when it was time to answer, Biden was incoherent. He said he beat Medicaid. Asked about abortion, he randomly started talking about migrant crime. Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad they mentioned that. I forgot about that. I think there was times where, and this is why Trump showed so much restraint, because there was times where I thought, this is where Trump goes after the age, he really just that one line, which I thought was perfectly timed, perfectly placed by Trump, saying, I don't know what he's saying. I don't think he knows what he's saying. If he would have went to that well too many times, you would have had a scenario where people got the empathy, got the sadness for Biden, which I think is still there. but it's not being blamed on Trump. It's not, well, Trump was just picking on him. And it wasn't that. The only one that brought up that empathy and that sadness for Biden was Biden and really his family, to see him like that. Again, please feel free to comment if you disagree with this. At one point, Biden just froze. And was I right? Because there was one time when he froze or something got very uncomfortable, and CNN goes, "We'll be right back, Mr. President," or, "Oh, your time's up." It was to cut him off, to change the view. That happened quite a bit. I do think if you could see the feed where it was perhaps just Biden the whole time, then watch it just Trump, I think it would be a lot different than what we even saw last night. And last night with Biden was unsettling. The administration can't say this one is a cheap fake. Everyone saw it happen. The sound you heard last night was Democratic operatives everywhere screaming at their television. Biden can't survive this. It is political malpractice to let him continue. It's a national malpractice to let him continue. Biden spent an entire week preparing for this debate, and this is the best he could do. That should terrify everyone. And that was my thought as soon as he came out and had such a bad, right from the very beginning, had such a bad start. I thought this was a week and a half of Camp David. No one had seen him. There was events that he didn't attend, all to laser-like focus on his performance, and that's how bad it was from the start. And I thought, how much worse is this going to get? But this is no one's fault but Biden's family, the people behind the scenes for doing this. He called for the debate. They told us that never mind these cheap fakes, never mind what you're seeing with your eyes, Biden is okay. And most people would say, well, why don't you show him more? Why aren't there more press conferences? Why aren't there more events? Never mind. We're being honest with you. And then we saw last night in real time what we're actually dealing with. And again, none of this is said lightly. We're talking about the presidential election. But to Michael Goodwin's point, we have today, June 28th, until January with the president that we saw last night. What are your thoughts on that? Are we overstating this? Are we understating? I would love to hear from you, and we're going to get your comments in just a moment. So they say at the New York Post, say implausibly, 81-year-old Biden wins. He won't get any sharper. During a second term, our president would continue to deteriorate, incapable of making proper decisions. That would be a disaster for the United States. On policy, Biden had no answer to the inflation or the border disaster, two of the most important issues to voters. But sadly, that's almost beside the point. Going back to what they're saying, yes, when he trailed off from abortion to immigration, and I think everybody, even Trump, kind of said, I don't want to go after this. How do I go after this? I really do think, I don't want to say a light bulb went off. That's not the right term. But I think when Biden started off so poorly that Trump even said, you know what? I've heard so many people say, let him dig his own grave. So I'm going to let him dig his own grave. And Trump did a great job at that. You may not like his policy or his style or whatever. That's fine. But don't you think that him stepping back and letting Biden do his talking and say what he wanted to say and not attack the mistakes, not attack the awkwardness of what Biden said, but try to go after substance. I thought that was, no matter what the media is trying to say, I thought Trump did a fantastic job for what he needed to do last night. Biden was so mumbling, the Post continues, so doddering, so lacking in command of the facts that it overshadowed everything. Asked about his age, Biden didn't defend it. Instead, started reminiscing about the old days. We think in the 1800s. Yeah, that was a lot of people right at the end of the debate saying that as well. That when you talk about your age, you don't go back to 50, 60 years ago when you're in 20. You know, it was very back reminiscent. It was of the olden days. Was not a good look. No wonder the White House keeps him hidden away, keeping him away from the press and public events. The Democratic elite is pulling a con job on the American people, and it was exposed last night. Let's take our first break. Again, Joe Barlow is going to be our guest coming up in just a little bit. We're going to talk about the Crystal Cores and their Summer Sing events coming up in August. I thought a nice way to change pace. That's a little bit later on. Just to say, okay, let's take a break from the debate last night, even though I've been looking forward to this. We were all a little tired, all a little groggy, stayed up too late. But I woke up so excited to join you today because I know we'd have so many great responses, so many great opinions on this, and we have already. So we got so much more to talk about. I wish today is definitely a day I wish this was a 3, 4, 5 hour show, but I'm happy to have 2. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
Celebrate with savings and get up to 35% off during Raymore and Flanigan's 4th of July sale. Explore can't-miss deals on collections for every room, living room, bedroom, dining room, and more. Celebrate in style with delivery in 3 days or less. Mattresses are on sale too. Save hundreds on top mattress brands, or pay your way and get 72-month financing with no interest and get free next-day mattress delivery. Hurry in, these savings end Monday at Raymore and Flanigan.
Was your preemie baby fed a cow's milk baby formula such as Similac or Enfamil? If so, your child may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Evidence shows that cow's milk formulas increase the risk of NEC in premature babies, causing severe harm and even death. If your child was born premature and suffers from NEC, intestinal perforations, sepsis, cerebral palsy, or died as a result, you may have the right to sue for significant financial compensation. Call now for a free case review.
Your wallet is always in danger. Criminals can hack your information without you even knowing. Introducing Slim Mint, an ultra-thin RFID blocking wallet that keeps your cards and cash protected. Slim Mint uses the latest RFID blocking technology to prevent thieves from stealing your info. It's ergonomically designed to optimize space and keep your belongings organized. With the auto-locking Slim Mint, your cards and money stay securely in place. It has a built-in cash clip and a flexible outer band to fit your additional cards and cash. Call or click now and get Slim Mint for just $29.99. Order in the next 5 minutes and you'll get an instant $10 discount, so it's only $19.99. But wait, due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get Slim Mint at this low price. There's a strict limit of 3 Slim Mint wallets while supplies last. Don't wait, order now.
Call 1-800-654-6604. Call or visit slimmintwallet.com. So call 1-800-654-6604. Order now.
Back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Let's get to viewer comments. I know we had our music run long on the last break. I think we should be good, and I appreciate that comment. That's our first comment. How's that? Next comment from a viewer. The way we can determine who won or lost the debate is to watch the 3 major networks take on the debate. If they focus on it heavily, then we should listen to see who they praise and who they put down. We all know how the 3 networks will show their bias towards the Democrat Party. Thank you. Next comment. It looks pretty clear that the Democrats will soon be throwing Biden under the bus, but I'm curious if they'll try to let Harris be the first woman president for a month or 2. I thought that was a good point. I think if they are saddled with making Harris the candidate, which I don't think that would be the case, they would have Biden drop out of being president, resign, to give Harris the kind of the incumbency aspect to it. So that's an interesting point. Is that how bad to you, whoever, I'm not talking to this viewer specifically, any viewer, was that how bad that performance was last night by Biden, that you're thinking that there could even be a replacement within the next few months as compared to just for the election? Anyway, that's a really good point. Next comment. Frank, the legacy media, and in my opinion, to a lesser extent, the conservative media, have a foolproof method of determining if someone is lying. They see their lips moving. Well, I don't think that the pundits actually believe what they are saying about the other side. The sheeple listening do believe what they say. Here's an interesting one. Heck with how he looked and acted. He has ruined this country with his or Obama's policies. Thank you. And finally, the media has been playing over and over again Biden's fine when the reality is the emperor has no clothes. I would agree. That goes to show you how much the media lies to us, as if you didn't already know. That no, everything's fine with Biden. The White House is telling us everything's fine with Biden. But we saw it last night with our own eyes. They will still tell us. I mean, Kamala Harris was out last night saying, we started off a little slow, did okay. Others, Gavin Newsom, saying, hey, we've all had a bad night. Here's the problem. You wanted to have the debate so early. And this gives, as Karl Rove said last night, gives so much time to dissect his performance and talk about it. There's so many talking points. Chris Saliza is he from CNN or used to be? Saying it's hard to imagine this debate starting worse for Biden. Mike Murphy saying, sorry, I'm voting for President Biden, but a disaster so far. Chris Saliza again saying, I never thought he would be this bad. Stunning. Truly, I'm not going to go through all these. There was a couple, Brian Stetler, former CNN host, saying, I'm listening on the radio and the audible difference between Biden and Trump is really striking. Oh, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Because Biden was hard to understand at points and that kind of the running off type thing. Ben Shapiro saying Trump is showing discipline. And discipline's an appropriate word for it. I thought that's a really great word for what Trump showed last night, because there was times where I think many of us thought, you could pounce, please don't pounce in this scenario. Because if you go too far, you become the bad guy, and it's no longer Biden's issue. I don't know. I never know how to say this guy, but Young Turks co-founder Cenk Uygur said, it's over. Biden looks and sounds ancient, losing his train of thought, speaking in a barely audible whisper. They have to pull him. That was one surrogate saying it was because Biden had a cold. David Plouffe, an ex-Obama aide or senior advisor, said it was kind of DEFCON 1 moment. I have deep suspicions that Donald Trump will swing voters bond as well. What? Have deep suspicions that Donald Trump will swing voters bombed as well. And that's a tragedy, because I think Joe Biden, the biggest thing in this election is voters' concerns. And it's those swing voters and base voters with his age. And those were compounded last night. So they're still making sure to say that they don't believe Trump did a good job, that he's not going to get swing voters, whatever. But it was undeniable last night how uncomfortable it was to see the President of the United States. David Axelrod, to a viewer's point earlier on that I mentioned, here's the exact quote. I just want to say one thing, especially to you two guys. And it was to Republican strategist Scott Jennings. Republican strategist, he works for CNN, whatever. And David Urban, he said, if for whatever reason there is a change at the top of the ticket, you guys are in trouble with Donald Trump. Because the guy who was up there tonight is not a guy who's going to inspire people. He did not show in any way that he has changed. I really disagree with that in the sense of being calm and collected. Yes, did he have his moments? Of course, as Donald Trump. But he showed that he was, to Ben Shapiro's point, disciplined. Jennings replied by saying that Trump won several policy exchanges tonight, but agreed with Axelrod's critique on Trump's lack of optimism. But that's not what I said, Scott, Axelrod said. What I said was, if Joe Biden were not the candidate, if there was another candidate, I think Donald Trump would be in deep trouble. That's an important point from David Axelrod, because what he's already saying to those listening is, you know what? If Joe Biden wasn't, if it was anybody else, Donald Trump would be beaten. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Let's get Biden out of there. They put together, how am I doing on time? Because we've got Joe Barlow coming up in just a little bit. They put together some of their CNN contributors. I'm just going to read these quick. I find this really interesting to see what, I guess you'd say, quote unquote, the other side had to say. Though, again, and I would love to hear your take. If you're just waking up, if you're just joining us, what did you think of Jake Tapper and Dana Bash? I thought there was times where you could take issue with it. I think overall it was much better than expected. I thought they did a fine job. The questions seemed fair. Again, there were some issues with timing and a few other things, but overall, in comparison to many of the debates we've seen, a pretty impressive job. So here's some of the talking heads. Anne Marie Cox said, what broke my heart the most about Biden's performance. By the time the debate was over, the best spin Democrat Party operatives had to offer was that they knew how bad it had gone. If you were at a dinner with an older relative who behaved and spoke like Biden during this debate, mumbling into his soup and such, you would at the very least ask if they needed a nap. If it wasn't the first time it happened, you might have a quiet conversation with your siblings about what the next step should be. I imagine that is a conversation in the upper echelons of the donor class right now. It's one thing to joke that all Biden had to do to ease voters' mind was to stay somewhat alert for the duration of the debate. It's another thing to see him appear to struggle to do so. It's fair to say the debate should be judged on substance. I'd love to be judging the debate on substance, but I'm not sure how. Trump repeated falsehoods and fumed about conspiracies and made preposterous promises and untethered boasts. He was full of hot air, but the air had shape to it. Trump filled a gigantic lie balloon, and Biden just hissed out some words. When I could make out those words, they aligned with my own beliefs, so there's that. For me, the choice is still clear. I will vote for Biden if he is on the ticket because the alternative is worse. That alternative might even be fatal in any number of ways. So if you vote for Biden or for Trump, it could be fatal. But Biden didn't make that case. And I fear that his inability to make it, indeed his inability to make much of a case for himself at all, will mean that the guy who spoke vile nonsense will beat the guy who couldn't make himself heard. Sure, Michael Singleton said Trump passed the most important test. He was the competent candidate. And I also say, again, the discipline that he showed. Joe Biden did not meet expectations and may have increased concerns about his age. May have. And ability to lead for another 4 years. The visual contrast between him and Trump was stark and obvious. Trump, despite his complexities as a candidate, came across as capable, which was the exact opposite for Biden. Paul Begala said it's time for Democrats to have a serious talk. And then he goes on to brag about how many texts he got. Does anybody else find this weird, or should I just drop it? I got so many texts from Democrats telling me this is a disaster. I mean, that it was every talking head said that. Paul Begala saying these are but a few of the texts I received during the debate. Disaster, catastrophe, meltdown. He needs to get out. Ugh. And that was just in the first 15 minutes. The calls for Biden to step aside began, albeit privately, before the debate was even over. No kidding. They will crescendo in the days ahead. Most Democrats and a sizable number of independents and Republicans see Trump as a threat to democracy. They need a warrior, not a whisper. Well, Paul, you got to give Paul credit. Biden didn't do a good job of bringing home the threat to democracy issue, so Paul's going to do the dirty work and keep bringing it up. They all are. The threat to democracy. That was one thing I would love to see mentioned more. The threat to democracy of ignoring Supreme Court decisions, the weaponization of the judicial system. We could go on and on, but for some reason, Trump is the threat to democracy. Okay. Jeff Yang said Biden... Oh, okay, hold on. Back to Paul Begala. Biden has plenty of time to recover. The question Democrats will ask is, does he have the ability to recover? Whew. Jeff Yang said Biden's weakly delivered rational facts were no match for Trump's forceful lies. That seems to be where they started off early on this, where, yeah, Biden didn't have the great performance, but what he said meant something, which most of the time you couldn't make out. So what is Jeff Yang saying rational facts? Was that not answering the question when it came to abortion and bringing up immigration? Being that confused, saying they beat Medicare? Is that the rational facts that Biden was mentioning compared to Trump's forceful lies? And again, wouldn't you like to know what they have them define what these lies are? They just throw it out and hope that it'll stick, that you'll believe what they said. Oh my goodness, I just looked at the time. We might get through some other comments from CNN commentary. Here's another message from a viewer. I was pleasantly surprised with the moderators, but they never asked Biden if he'd accept the results of the election. Good point. Once again, that's a question that's only meant for Republican. Yeah, very, very good point. There's a few like that. And January 6th was one to team up. Also, the age issue. How big of a missed opportunity was that for Biden? You know, yesterday I made the prediction that he was going to hit that out of the park, was going to have that moment like Reagan had. Did not do it. Missed opportunity there. But yes, I gotta say it, give credit where credit's due. I've got to say I was impressed with the moderators and thought that they did a fair job. All right, we got to take a short break. And when we come back, our good friend Joe Barlow change things up a little bit. Get away from the debates. Take a little breather. Hear some good music. Find out about a fun event coming up in August. So we'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
At Platt Roofing and Construction, we're proud to introduce services for Pinnacle Sun Solar Reflective Shingles. Built with innovative technology, these shingles reflect the sun's radiant heat away from the roof, keeping your AC costs down and improving the overall energy efficiency of your home. Pinnacle Sun shingles can keep your home up to 20 degrees cooler and can be installed at a lower price than asphalt shingles. Call or visit our website to get a quote on your new Pinnacle Sun roof. Not satisfied with the gold standard? Get Platinum Roofing for the last roof you'll ever need.
What could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day just by brushing your teeth. Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
Now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth. Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one, get one absolutely free. We'll even include free shipping. Call or click now before the special buy one, get one free offer goes away.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and this is the Stu Benz Senior Services Fund section of our program. And we welcome back to the program Joe. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, Frank, thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Well, it's always nice when you can come because I know you're going to probably surprise us with a song at some point.
Yeah, we have a song.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a moment. But tell us about this upcoming event, Summer Sing.
Well, it's an event of Crystal Chords Chorus. We have about 40 members, women from all over the Twin Tiers. Yeah. And we just thought this year it would be fun to have just people from the community, women from the community, come and sing with us.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, so it's just a fun event just so that we can enjoy summer and learn another new song and just have a good time with it.
And the bonding, because I know we've talked about this in the past, the friendships that come from this, and I know people that have attended meetings similar to this with the Crystal Chords, and it's just a fun time, a fun get-together.
We always have a lot of fun, no matter what we're doing, whether it's singing in the community or even at our rehearsals. There's something about singing in harmony.
Yeah.
You know, when you sing in the car or whatever, you know how good that feels.
Yeah.
But then if you add another voice in, it's even better. But think about 4-part harmony, which is the way we sing.
Yeah.
It's just, the room fills with this wonderful, harmonious, good feeling, and it just brings some pleasure into our lives. And you know, there's a lot of stuff out there to worry about and fret about, and this is a chance for us to let all that go and just get together and sing.
Isn't that wonderful? Now, for people that are interested in attending, what should they know? Does this mean they're joining your group, or is it
No,
just...
it's just a fun event for people to come sing with us.
Okay.
So we're going to do it on 4 Tuesdays in August. It's called Summer Sing, and that's our regular rehearsal time down in Horseheads. So people will just come and sing along with us and learn a new song. We're going to learn the song 1,000 Years by Christina Perri, which is a a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that'd be wonderful.
yeah, it'll be fun.
What level does someone have to be at? Because I'm sure for some people this would be intimidating, right? Because they only sing in their car, they sing in the shower.
Right.
But you're obviously a friendly group. It's nothing about, you don't have to be a pro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
The singing in the car person.
Yeah.
I wasn't in a chorus since high school for a long decades. And when I got back in, I was thinking, well, I really can't read music. But what we have are audio learning tracks that we send out to people by email.
Oh, okay.
So you can learn your part just with the track, doing it over and over. And we also send out the sheet music so you can follow along with that. For me, that's the best way to learn. Everybody's different in how they learn. But you don't have to be an expert. I certainly was not.
No, so this could be even your first time with a group like this, but what a great way to start off, right?
Yeah.
Friendly group, get to kind of learn a song together. Oh, now who's all involved?
It's just our chorus.
Okay.
Yeah, that's putting it on.
Oh, that's a good. Where did this idea come from? Because it is unique.
Well, it's our director, Donna McKay,
Yeah.
who's just awesome.
Yeah.
She came up with the idea, and we just love the idea. Other choruses in Harmony Incorporated, which is our parent organization, have done this and gotten quite a few people from the community to come sing with them. And we thought in the summertime, it's a perfect time to see who we can have fun with.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think makes this so much fun, at least for you? I don't want you to speak for the whole group, but what makes this so much fun for you?
You know, I've always loved to listen to music.
Sure.
Making music wasn't something I ever thought I was going to be doing, really, again, not since high school. But it's just the joyous feeling that you get when you're singing in harmony with other women. It's just hard to explain. It's like magic.
Yeah.
You know, there's an alchemy that happens when you bring voices together. And sometimes you can hear chords, what they call, ringing a chord, where you're singing the chord and it's so good that there's like an extra aura of sound that rings above it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I can't explain the feeling. It's a wonderful feeling.
Well, I know people, and I know I tell you this every time you're on the program, but I still have people stop and tell me how wonderful the songs were during the telethon at Christmas, the Salvation Army telethon. And obviously we play the songs on Christmas Day as well, just to have a little bit of different programming. And people still stop me and say how wonderful that is.
I am so glad.
Isn't that nice?
We want to do it again this year. Our quartets
Absolutely.
can contribute songs, and the chorus will do a song or two for you. So it's lovely to do that for Salvation Army.
Oh, and they're such
doing
amazing.
things in the community is really my favorite thing about Crystal Chords, being out there in the community.
Well, and that's it, because I talk about that on this program a lot, about community, and polls show that people kind of are losing faith in community and getting involved and like that. I can't think of something more community-minded than what you're doing in August, which is getting together and singing. It's something very, I don't know if this is a bad word, I don't think so, quaint. Do you know what I mean? Just nice.
Well, that's the roots of
this
kind of singing we do is really barbershop style singing. And that started with a bunch of people just getting together somewhere and singing, just making up the chords as they went along.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So do you have any upcoming performances?
We do, actually. Tomorrow night we're singing the national anthem at the Elmira Pioneers
game. Oh, how great is that?
Down at Dunfield.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. We love to do that.
Oh, that's a big crowd, too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Have you done it before at Dunfield?
We did it last year. In fact, we had so much fun with it. And then they won the next game, so we thought, okay, we inspired them.
You're their good luck charm.
Division, so
that's
that was
right.
Good too.
They had to invite you back. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. So if people want to find out more about Summer Sing, because it is early. I mean, here it is. Well, it's almost July, which is hard to believe, isn't it?
I know.
But it's going to take place in August. Where can they find out more?
Well, everything's on our website at crystalchords.com.
Okay.
We also have a Facebook page, Crystal Chords Women's Acapella. But crystalchords.com would be the simplest place to find it. All the information is there about how to sign up, because we want people to register so we can send them the audio learning tracks and the sheet music ahead of time.
Well, get involved, and there's no reason to be intimidated. Take the chance, right? It's going to be fun.
For it.
So as we hinted at the beginning of the interview, you did bring a song, which is a favorite part of my show. I love when you do this. So how about if you give us a little intro?
Well, this is the Metaphor Quartet. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
And they're doing a favorite that was a big hit for Elvis.
Oh, beautiful. All right, Joe, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Frank. Sure appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this song. Stay with us.
A doomba 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 doomba. Don't want a four-leaf clover. Don't want an old horseshoe. Baby, now I want your kiss, 'cause I just can't miss with a good luck charm like you. Come on and be my little good luck charm. You you sweet delight. I want a good luck charm hanging on my arm to have, to hold tonight. Just wanna hold you tonight. No silver dollar rabbits for hanging on a string, because the happiness in your warm caress no rabbit's foot can bring. Come on and be my little good luck charm, you sweet delight. I want a good luck charm hanging on my arm to have, to hold tonight, hold tonight. Come on and be my little good luck charm, my sweet delight. I need a good luck charm. You gotta know, good luck charm. Be my little good luck charm. What a sweet delight. Be my little good luck charm. To have, to hold tonight. I just wanna hold you tight, baby. Be my sweet delight. To hold, everything will be alright tonight. Hold you tight. All night.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready, we're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-781-9990 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-781-9990. 1-800-781-9990. Call now.
Name something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Marcus Street. Thank you to Joe Barlow for being our guest during the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program. We received a comment during our interview with Joe where we said anybody could join. Doesn't matter your singing level. This viewer said she hasn't heard me sing. But I will continue, let me try that again. I will continue to enjoy them and look forward to the next telethon. Yeah, me too. I can't wait for the next telethon. I thought the music was fantastic. Next comment, going back to the debate. Overall, I think it went better than I expected. And of course, they hit every question I knew they would. They cut away a few times, as expected, but I was actually shocked. So why does that make me nervous? Yeah, I would agree. It does make me a little nervous. I do think, though, there's a point to be had that CNN is on its last legs. I mean, let's face it. Last leg, excuse me. They even said it on CNN's website, that opinion piece from CNN saying that they really need this right now. So they had to be a little more fair, and I think they were. I'm not knocking them. I thought overall, yes, we could take issue with a few, but I think overall there's not much to knock about the moderators. Another comment. I missed this one earlier on. I apologize. You just said the magic word, ghost-like, meaning Biden. That's exactly what I saw last night. Jacob Marley from the old Christmas Carol movie. That's a great point. And it is the weight of the chains of his policies that will sink him, not necessarily his age. Very good comment. Thank you very much. Comments coming from CNN commentators. David Mark says Democrats are probably stuck with Biden. There's little they can do about it unless Biden agrees. And that's the point that's been made numerous times on this program going way back. It is, at the end of the day, up to Biden. They cannot kick him out unless he says, I'm done. Now, enough people may get to him, but I'm starting to think, and we talked about it earlier on in the program, that Dr. Jill has a lot more say in this matter than we originally thought. Her helping him off the stage, her helping him at the Waffle House. Even if Democrats could convince Biden to step aside from the fight against Trump, the Republican nominee in waiting, there's the Vice President Kamala Harris problem. Harris has persistently proved unpopular with the public to the point that she was a rhetorical punching bag in the Republican presidential primary by Nikki Haley. Anyway, we move forward. About the best Democrats can hope for now is the pundits were right when they pontificated before the debate. The face-off with Trump wouldn't change much about the presidential race. Jeff Duncan said Americans were right to dread a Trump-Biden rematch. Isn't it interesting how Trump gets lumped into all of this? They can't even focus on what was the elephant in the room yesterday. They had to focus on, well, Trump lied, or Trump didn't look good, or Trump's old too, Trump's old too. You could keep telling us Trump's old, but I would also say, put the side by side, the screen that they showed last night, and tell me if you feel both of them are at the same capacity. Peter Bergen had to focus on an issue that he took with Trump, saying that there was no terrorism on his watch because there was right-wing domestic terrorism. Suzanne Ramirez de Aurelino said Latino voters should have heard more. Okay. Roxanne Jones says Democrats should be worried. That's fair. Len He Chain said Biden's big missed opportunity. Enough about CNN. Okay. The debate was a blowout for Trump, and it wasn't even close, said Joe Concha. It was the biggest train wreck of any presidential candidate ever, said Sean Hannity in the post-debate wrap-up. When he wasn't speaking, he was staring out like an empty vessel. And I know I mentioned that on the program at the very beginning. I mentioned it a few times. That, to me, was the most unsettling or uncomfortable part. It was the split screen where normally you'd be focused on Trump because you never know what he's going to say. Always the entertainer. My eyes were glued to Joe, who was looking off into no audience. It was reminiscent of the video that we were told was a cheap fake, which we know wasn't, at the Juneteenth event. He, kind of the I don't know what you call it, slack-jawed maybe. The voice was raspy. He was coughing right from the beginning, glassy-eyed. He was looking down. Now, he was taking notes, but it didn't look that. There was times where it looked like he was almost asleep. I'm not suggesting he was. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what the optics were. I don't need to make things sound worse than they actually were. That's completely unnecessary. This piece at the New York Post goes through some of the more glaring gaffes, if you want to call them that. I'm not going to go through all that. You saw it last night with your own eyes. But it said Democrats will now attempt to replace the current president. The problem is that they have no bench, and Donald Trump is a freight train heading back to the White House, regardless of who the opponent is. Everything changed Thursday night in Atlanta, and as things stand right now, Donald Trump will be the 47th president. That's Joe Concha. Biden's candidacy in doubt after weak frozen debate performance against Trump, leaving many Democrats in aggressive panic. So you see the common trend of the headlines, and I can understand why the one viewer said makes them a little nervous. I did not expect, listen, that goes to show you how bad the performance was, because I did not expect this quickly. I actually on CNN last night. And they had almost, it wasn't a Twitter feed, but that's almost what it was with their contributors, just scrolling down as real-time updates. And when I checked it for the first time and they were saying Biden was doing horrible, I thought this could be an interesting night of media coverage. Liz Peek said Trump scored some hits at the presidential debate, but Biden shocked the nation. And I think that's an appropriate way of putting it. For weeks, rumors have circulated that the first presidential debate was scheduled many weeks earlier than usual to allow Democrats time to throw Joe Biden overboard in case he flopped. There would be time, some speculated, to convince Biden to step down and for the party to coalesce around a new candidate. According to the devastated talking heads on CNN, speaking after the debate, that's where we are. Even those totally in Biden's corner had to admit the president did not appear capable of serving 4 more years, and they weren't alone. Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times, immediately afterwards in a piece titled, "President Biden, I've seen enough," wrote, "But I hope he reviews his debate performance and withdraws from the race, throwing the choice of a Democrat nominee to the convention in August." And that is an interesting point. Many people thought they went so early with the debate to give time to build that momentum. And I still think that's what it was, to say, look, Biden did so good that the momentum is going in his way. It just backfired. And now they have all this time to discuss it, time to defend him. Oh my goodness, we got to run. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
Our water's better tasting, it's better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
I'm Mary. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Name something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big Fox.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Here is a comment from a viewer. Great show today, Frank. Thank you. Right on target as usual. I really appreciate that. Please consider running for local office. Thank you. I have. I'm a town councilman, and I am proud of that. But thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Joe Biden helps Joe off stage after the debate. You saw that optics. As Chip Roy said, who is the commander-in-chief? And tech entrepreneur Steve Kirsch saying, wow, you don't have to watch the debate. That says it all, with her helping him off the stage. Almost a nail in the coffin after that performance. Biden's disastrous debate pitches his re-election bid into crisis, says Stephen Collinson. If Joe Biden loses, history will record that it took just 10 minutes to destroy a presidency. It was clear a political disaster was about to unfold as soon as the 81-year-old commander-in-chief stiffly shuffled on stage to stand 8 feet from ex-President Donald Trump at what may turn into the most fateful presidential debate in history. Objectively, Biden produced the weakest performance since John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon started the tradition of televised debates in the 60s. Then, as on Thursday, in a television studio with no audience. Minutes into the showdown, a full-blown Democratic panic was underway at the idea of heading into the election with such a diminished figure at the top of the ticket. Biden's chief debate coach, Ron Klain, famously argues that while you can lose a debate at any time, you can only win it in the first 30 minutes. By that standard, the president's showing was devastating. The tone of the evening was set well before the half hour. It was right from the beginning. It was literally from the jump. The optics, but also when Biden started talking, the staring off, it was hard to believe your eyes that it started that badly. And I don't ever agree with Stephen Collison, but I do believe this will be one of the most important debates in presidential history. Biden's debate performance sets off alarm bells for Democrats, says CNN. Need a new nominee. Establishment media slams Biden's debate performance. Casey Hunt from CNN said the voice, open mouth look, and visual contrast between President Biden and former President Trump all have Democrats I'm talking to nearly beside themselves watching the debate. No, never mind. I was almost going to say something about texting again. The media's out now. They're out to question Biden's re-election campaign. What does that mean? Is there someone that they have in mind? Is there someone that they want? Of course, I think their wish list would be Michelle Obama. Would they be happy with Gavin Newsom? David Axelrod believes anybody, and remember, that was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge by David Axelrod saying anybody but Biden would beat Trump. Chris Wallace on CNN said Biden can't come back. Honestly, I think the question answers itself. He wasn't capable of doing any better than he did. Yeah, that's a good point from Wallace. When you think about the fact that he spent a week practicing nonstop at Camp David and he could do no better than that, then it can't get better. He was incapable tonight on the biggest of stages that he saw. He, in effect, dictated all the rules, tried to put it in his favor. And with all of that preparation, he was incapable of doing better than he was. And you can't come back from that. You can't be on a stage where tens of millions of Americans watched you and come up empty. And that's what he did tonight. Yes, and again, the rules were stacked in Biden's favor. There's no denying that. But ironically, I think the microphone rule, which I thought was going to be disastrous, just not necessarily for Trump or Biden, just I thought it was going to be very awkward. It actually played in Trump's favor. I mean, Trump showed a very, what's the word I want to use? He was very in control of himself last night, didn't go off the rails at any point. Yes, he got forceful at times, but I think without the audience there to egg him on, one way or the other, without the mic capabilities, it kept him in control. He was very disciplined, as Ben Shapiro said. And it was what was supposed to be for Biden's favor actually played, I think, in Trump's ultimate favor. We got to take one last break, and then we are going to wrap up this morning's edition. So get your last-minute comments in. I love these comments that you're sending in. All right, we'll be right back.
Experience the action, splashing, and excitement of the annual Watkins Glen Cardboard Boat Regatta from the comfort of your home this summer. Enjoy this local tradition and fun family event airing on Big Fox and MyTV on the following dates and times. The Watkins Glen Cardboard Boat Regatta broadcast brought to you by these fine sponsors.
Attention, if you were a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Shell Missy
face off in
Why can't we watch DuckTales? Because we don't learn anything.
book smarts versus street smarts.
Is it working? Are you feeling motivated? Very.
It's the battle of twins.
Life is so confusing. I always hoped it would be easier for me when I grew up. It's gonna be all right. You were faking. Bazinga.
Young Sheldon.
Weeknights at 6:30 on Big Fox.
We are back. There's something crawling on the camera there. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Biden's odds of re-election plummeted after last night. According to the betting markets, there's a kind of illegal sites that you can go to that you can buy stock in a president winning, or one of the candidates winning presidency, I should say. Biden's chances plummeted 15 points after yesterday. I had mentioned this earlier. I wanted to quote him directly. Gavin Newsom said, "I would never turn my back on President Biden. Never turn my back on President Biden. I don't know a Democrat in my party that would do so, and especially after tonight, we have his back. We run, not the 90-yard dash. We are all in. We're going to double down in the next few months. We're going to win this election." Many people believe in Gavin Newsom will be running. And here, well, and there's a point that's being made by Chuck Todd, who says it depends the reaction from Obama and Pelosi in the next few days and how that will shape the race. The two Democrats I'm most intrigued to hear from are Pelosi and Barack Obama. They are arguably the two most influential Democrats not named Joe Biden right now. If they went public saying, "Thank you for your service, but it's time for new blood," I'm not sure Biden can survive as a nominee. But again, at the end of the day, you have to remember, it is up to Joe Biden. He has the final say. Now, Jill Biden, after helping him off the stage, Dr. Jill said, "Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts." Okay, Van Jones, political commentator from CNN, Van Jones, said that was painful. "I love Joe Biden. I worked for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all. I'll give you the analysis. You kind of have the old man versus the con man, and I can walk you through how it's supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. As a good man, he loves his country. He's doing the best that he can, but he had failed to meet tonight to restore confidence to the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward, if he will allow us to do that. But that will not be but that was not what we needed from Joe Biden, and it was painful for a lot of people. It's just not panic; it's a pain that we saw. Jeez, maybe there's a point to that. That's why they had the debate so early, to see if he was up to it. And I think last night there's a lot of questions if he is. Nicole Wallace said Biden's circle are having conversations about him dropping out. Biden was rambling and incoherent, said MSNBC's Alex Wagner on multiple questions. But Kamala Harris, to end on a positive note for Joe Biden, it was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. Joe Biden is extraordinarily strong. People can debate on style points. I got that point that you're making about a 1.5 hour debate tonight. I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance and work that has been historic. Well, you can't complain about how much time it was. An hour and a half is fair. And also all the rules were in Biden's favor. But we are out of time for today's edition. Wow, that was a lot of fun. I wish we had a few more hours together. Thank you for all the comments. I hope that you have a fun, safe weekend. Don't forget, do I have time? I'm not going to have time. Don't forget that we'll be broadcasting the Cardboard Boat Regatta. And it starts tomorrow on WYDC at 5:30 and at WJKP at 7:30. Don't miss it. Myself and Elisa Trosha will be hosting the Watkins Glen Cardboard Boat Regatta. Now I am out of time. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back Monday morning starting at 6 a.m. with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will see you bright and early on Monday morning. I look forward to it already. Have a great weekend.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself.